Hello, I'm Time LG, Time, whatever you want to call me. Welcome here. I'm gonna be reacting to a video today called "Everything Wrong with Borderlands 4." I had seen a clip of it on YouTube Shorts, and I fundamentally disagreed with some of the things this guy had to say. I think that he gets a lot of things wrong. I think he just fundamentally does not understand Borderlands because some of the complaints that I heard him say about the game, things that should be changed. If those changes were to occur, it would more or less just make Borderlands 4 a bastardization of what Borderlands is and basically be a betrayal. Borderlands 4 as it stands is one of the best Borderlands games ever. It just is. There's not much else to say about it. Like I said, I watched a little bit of the full video, not much, but I just wanted to react to it. I wanted to live stream it, but my internet seems to be having problems again for whatever reason. Even though after doing a speed test, my speeds are pretty much where they're supposed to be, but for whatever reason, whenever I hit to go live, it just completely shits the bed. So we're not going to do that. We're going to do this as a recording. I don't usually like to do these things as recordings. I like to do things live, but it is what it is. So we're going to react to this video. Let's swap over to it, and we're gonna get into it nice and simple, just like that.
Today I want to cover everything that's wrong with Borderlands 4, but I want to add a little bit of context before I get into it here. I'm not saying this just to be a hater. I enjoy the game. I think the game is genuinely fun and has a lot of good things about it, and I want it to be a successful game for many, many years. I've seen a lot of people on the Borderlands subreddits saying this could be like the next Skyrim, the next game that's just...
One thing I want to say is that it's hard to not feel like he did this video just for rage bait engagement by the fact that he has like the flashing up subtitles with like different words like highlighted, like as if the video was made with the intention to be cut up into clips to be put on YouTube Shorts or TikTok Reel or TikTok or Instagram Reels. Like it very much feels like he made it with that intention first, so that way people would see these short like rage bait basically clips and go and like react from that.
So big that people come back to it year after year, do different playthroughs, challenge runs. I really want the game to be successful. And before the game came out, I told myself I want to be a Borderlands 4 content creator. I want to make stuff about this game because I'm so excited for it. And I really hope that me bringing up all these issues doesn't make me like an enemy to the game creators. Let's face it, I'm small enough that they won't see it, they won't care. But there are some genuine flaws that with the game that I think need to be addressed, and they can be. All of these flaws are small enough that they can be patched out or fixed through various patches. So I'm bringing them up because there are a lot of pain points for a lot of the community and things that I think can be improved upon to make an already great game even better. And I'm not going to touch on the optimization. That topic has been talked to death. They're already aware of it. They're already doing patches to improve the optimization. So I don't feel like I need to talk about the optimization. So I'm going to talk about all the other stuff. Problem number one, the world boss bubbles. I love walking through the world and exploring and seeing a random boss pop up. That's really cool. But it really sucks that if they knock you out of the bubble, it instantly despawns the fight and you don't get a second chance. It sucks if you die, it just goes away and you don't get a second chance. They need...
Dying and it going away makes sense, but yeah, there should be a timer or something that pops up whenever you get in, if you do exit it, where if you go back in within the timer, you're good. If not, it ends it. Because it's frustrating that the bosses can walk out, but the moment if they knock you out of it, then you're fucked. It just ends the boss fight right then and there. I will agree with that.
To add some sort of timer, like a 3 or 5 second, like, hey, you got ringed out, get back in the ring or it's going to despawn, because sometimes you walk in, the boss hits you back, you fall out of the bubble, and then just goes away forever. That's not fun. They definitely need to adjust that in some way. There are a great deal of super fun missions. There are also really, really unfun missions. The missions where you have to grab something and hold it and escort it without using the movement, without using your mount, you have to just slowly walk across.
That's the point. It's meant to be a little bit. That's the point of them. They're meant to be a little bit harder. So you have to you have to have good gear and whatnot. You have to be able to survive. And the only times that the item, if dropped, will despawn is if it falls off the map or if you die. That's the only times that the item will then be put back at its starting point. But none of those things where you have to hold something and carry it, I believe there's not a single point where in a actual mission you have to do that over a long distance. The only times you have to do that over a long distance are the patrols or like the bounty poster things, which aren't really like missions. They're like little bounty, like those refresh and whatnot. You don't have to do it. I don't think there's any side quest where you have to do that, and there's no main quest. I'm like pretty much 100% certain that there's no main quest or side quest where you have to do that over a long distance. So there's no missions where you have to do that.
The world to deliver something from point A to point B are ridiculously unfun. One, you lose half your movement. Two, you move so slow. There's so many things that knock it out of your hand. You get knocked around, it falls off.
The only thing that knocks it out of your hand, there's literally the only way it gets knocked out of your hand is if you go down. That is the only way it gets knocked out of your hand. That is the only way. The only other ways that it will leave your hand once you pick it up is if you drop it or you grapple or you do like some sort of action. Like if you use your ordnance, it's gonna drop it. If you, if you press E or whatever the pickup button on your platform is, it will drop it. But it's not, the enemies don't just knock it out of your hand. That does not happen.
From cliffs, you have to start over. Like, it is so boring and tedious. I absolutely despise seeing these missions pop up. I see people all over the Reddit complaining about. I haven't seen a single person who says, I super enjoy having to pick up a random rock, carry it 1,000 meters to the west, and hope it doesn't get knocked out of my hand, or that I don't have to climb a cliff and accidentally drop it down a cliff and have to start over. I've not seen it. They need to be reworked. These are really unfun missions.
They really don't need to be. They're not hard.
Fun missions. The whole mission replay is kind of a cool idea. The ability to go back and redo missions you've already done. I dig it, especially for like leveling, especially for experiencing things you really liked, and like adding the modifiers to it is really cool. However, there's a lot of flaws with the system. The number one being like, this is a mission replay. We've already played the mission. We know the mission. So why is it forcing us to listen to long bouts of dialogue again, unskippable dialogue? It really breaks up the fun, and to be honest, some of the writing in the game isn't.
It doesn't break up the fun because you're going into any like mission replay mechanic in any game, you don't get to skip dialogue like that. Like, especially whenever it's dialogue that's happening outside of like a interaction with someone. Like, it's not like a Skyrim thing or any other, like, RPG game, like, any other, like, hardcore RPG game, because Borderlands is a RPG. It's not like any other hardcore RPG game where you can, like, you're talking to the person, so you can mash like, the talking button or whatever, interact button to skip through dialogue. That's not how dialogue works in Borderlands. Most of the time, the dialogue is just happening already. Like, it's just, like, a certain cue or a certain, like, there's like points where the dialogue starts and whatnot. It makes no, like, why would you be able to skip? You'd have to have a dedicated button to be able to skip dialogue. Because it doesn't make sense. Because a lot of time the dialogue is what brings you from one mission objective to the next mission objective. So, like, if you just skip that, how would that look? What would that look like, right? With the characters that are in the world, in the mission, having that dialogue. So what, they're just gonna go from whenever you kill these enemies and they're just gonna instantly teleport to the next spot, like that, or whatnot. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, if the dialogue is a character opening a door and they're having that dialogue and you want to skip that dialogue, so the game's just supposed to instantly load them wherever the next objective is, and just the doors just automatically open. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, that just doesn't make logical sense. It's a mission replay. You're going into it knowing you're replaying the mission.
good enough for a second, third, fourth, fifth time enjoyment, right? It was funny the first time. Now I'm sitting here for a minute while you sit there and exposition at me, and that's super unfun. And some of those modifiers, that first wildcard
Just zone it out. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to just like zone it out.
mission where everyone does like the purple explodey thing that draws you in, that is, again, it's not hard, it is tedious. And I feel like so many game creators don't understand the difference between difficulty and tedium. It is so tedious that,
like, why was it highlighted there in the subtitles a second ago? It doesn't, like, why was it, there was no reason for it to be highlighted. Like, it's so like TikTok brain, like short attention span, like made with that intention. And like, it's not even that, the mission that he's talking about, the first Vault Hunter, Ultimate Vault Hunter wildcard mission, the mission that he's talking about, it's not even tedious. Like, it's so irrelevant, it doesn't matter. Like, you can just kill the enemies when they're far away, and you don't have to like be bothered with it. Like, it's such a nothing. It's so nothing. It doesn't even make sense as a like criticism.
every enemy you kill will suck you in, you get dragged around. It's so horribly unfun.
It's
and while
so
we're on
nothing.
the topic of tedium and unfun, making a new character,
like, his subtitles don't even have the right words sometimes. It just said, speaking of tedium, as in like something being tedious, but it just said TDM, like team deathmatch in COD. Like, dude, at least read through the fucking subtitles and make sure that your fucking AI auto-generated subtitles are at least half-ass accurate, bro. Like, come on. At least put like the minimum amount of effort into your slop rage bait fucking content. Like, come on, dude.
is so unrewarding. There's so many tedious quality of life things that they could have given us that for whatever reason that I just can't justify, they didn't. Like, when you create a new character starting at level 30, you have to re-explore the entire map. None of your SDU stuff comes over.
Why would SDU stuff come over? Why would any of the SDU stuff come over? No previous Borderlands game has ever had SDUs crossover between characters. Not a single fucking one. So because the SDUs are tied to a collectible system, are tied to like sort of like collectibles almost in this game, they should cross over between characters. Like, no, if you're on a new character, you got to do those collectibles again to get the SDUs. That makes sense. That would be so fucking dumb for it to cross over between characters. That doesn't make sense. Like, just because you're lazy and don't have like the like attention span or whatever to engage with the game long enough to where like, oh, I gotta redo this, which is like something that would be in like any game. Like, nobody's like, oh, if I start a new game on Spider-Man, but I've already 100%ed it on a different playthrough, but I'm just starting over on a fresh one, not a new game plus, a fresh new start. All my collectibles and gadgets aren't maxed out already. What the fuck? They should be maxed out because I already did that on my other thing, on the other save file. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's a complaint that just doesn't work because it's never been like that in any other Borderlands game. No other game does that because it's new characters are not it's not a new game plus. You're starting a new character.
The only thing that transfers between characters is you can use the bank, and that's basically it. Even your badass rank or whatever it's called this time around,
like, dude, you're gonna talk about the game, and like I watched about halfway through, so we're almost to where I did watch through. It's like, dude, you said you're like, oh, I want to be a Borderlands 4 content creator. Whenever I was like, when the first like trailers and stuff came out, it's like, how are you gonna do that? And then you don't even understand. You're talking about the specialization system, and you're like the badass rank or whatever. It's like, how do you, like, what do you mean the badass rank or whatever it's called? It's clearly not called the badass rank because that was Borderlands 2 and pre-sequel, I think, had badass rank. Pre-sequel had badass rank. Borderlands 3 did not have badass rank. Borderlands 4 does not have badass rank. Borderlands 1 did not have badass rank. So Borderlands 2 had it, and maybe Borderlands the pre-sequel. I can't quite remember. It's been a while since I've played it's been a while since I've played the pre-sequel. So like, how do you not understand that's not what it's even called in this game, because it just isn't what it's called.
I keep forgetting that expertise rank, whatever you want to call it, where like your characters are supposed to level up and you carry that over, like we've seen in Diablo, we've seen in so many other games where your ults start a little bit more powerful because you have a powerful character already. They didn't do any of that. So you create a new character, they're naked and afraid with absolute garbage gears, and you have to go and get every single waypoint again. It's tedious. It's just not fun. I don't understand why.
It's not tedious just because you're lazy does not make it tedious. It it's because you're complaining about the game not like just spoon feeding you, like not having to redo things you already did on another character because you just don't want to take the time. Like anyone who's played Borderlands games before, like it's not tedious because you're just replaying the stuff you've already done. It's like how do you not recognize in your brain like, oh, I'm playing this thing that I've already played before, but I'm playing with a new character, so there's probably going to be different dialogue because like there are differences in dialogue depending on which character you are playing and how the other NPCs will interact with your character. There's gonna be a different way of playing it. It's gonna be a different way you can go like no like real like Borderlands player is going to complain about that because they understand the basic concept that when you're on a new character, especially if it's a different class character from what you played originally, then you're going to have a different experience even doing those same bits of content again because your gameplay, the way you go about playing the game is going to be different because you're playing a different character with different abilities and different stats and different like things, different specialties that they excel in that your other characters that you have already played didn't excel in that way or didn't go about it in that way. Like it just doesn't make sense. It's a shit. Like it's not something that's wrong with the game. It's something that's wrong with you. That you don't want to do that because you are lazy, but instead you're blaming it on the game because you are lazy and don't understand Borderlands.
I've seen this. I've done this. Why do I have to do it again? Some flaws that they know about and apparently are aware of or are trying to fix now is the loot vacuum, the loot vending machine that picks up the loot that you forget is coded.
Not to mention, like, this is just, like, that whole thing just completely flies in the face of the entire concept of things like challenge runs. Like, if all of your stuff, like, if everything that you already did just crosses over between characters, that would make things like starting, like, challenge runs like so much more boring where you'd have to have like a fresh and brand new copy of the game to do certain challenge runs. Like if somebody wanted to do a challenge run, say where they don't get any SDU upgrades, so you're going around trying to like make money to buy new guns from like vending machines while only being able to store the default amount of weapons, or you're trying to do like end game boss fights with only your starting amount of reserve ammo. Like it just is a bad criticism because it just doesn't make sense because certain things, like why would you, the only reason you would want that to be a thing in the game is because you just are lazy and don't understand the game
incorrectly. It's bugged and it's actually backwards. So the way it's supposed to work is like if you have all common items in there and you pick up a legendary item, it puts the legendary item in there because it's a higher rank, so the higher rank stuff goes in. Right now it's bugged and it's going backwards. So if you have a legendary item in there, it will replace it with a common item because somebody programmed it backwards. So I believe they're aware of that one and that will hopefully be fixed soon, but that is still like a huge game-breaking bug to have in.
It's not game breaking. It is inconvenient and it is shitty that they fucked something that seemingly simple up, that they coded it backwards, but it's not game breaking.
At launch, that a whole mechanic and system doesn't work. The same thing with co-op. Now this one I haven't confirmed because I haven't played in co-op, but there's a lot of people reporting that if you play in co-op, whatever progress you have from like the host, you don't get. So if you unlock a waypoint with them, then in your game, you still need to go back and unlock that waypoint. Now, some people have clarified saying, well, you unlock the waypoint, you still have to go and discover it. You can't use it until you go and look at it. But it's basically the same thing. Okay, you don't have to find the data pad. You still have to go to the location to unlock it again, which just adds to the tedium where you can do this thing where you played with your friend, now you have to go and unlock it again, and then you create a new character with a friend, and then you have to go unlock it again. You've unlocked the same thing like 4 times. Another huge frustration point for me is what you're seeing here with the enemy levels. Now, I understand that the story was kind of
So this is what I had an issue with in the short. This was the short that I saw where he talked about enemy levels. As you can see, he's currently level 33 on a new character because he has the purple bar there for the specialization rank. So clearly he's already finished a playthrough of the game. He's level 33 and the enemies are about around 36, 37, which isn't bad. Cuz he's in a bunker. He's in a bunker, which is a harder area thing, as a harder area activity. It is a harder area activity. If he's done the thing where you do start a new character at level 30, then he might not have like that high of a gear, or who knows what could be the reason. But even in my playthrough where I was doing like all this, if it would have been Borderlands 2 style of enemy leveling in the areas, I would have been massively over leveled. Like, I beat the story already at level 50. Like, I was already level 50 at the end of the story. Like, I'm pretty sure shortly after I entered the last area of the game, like the Dominion, like the last like playable area, I was like maybe one or two. I was like at 47, 48 maybe. Like I was almost at 50 already going into that area. So the fact that he's a 33 and the enemies are about 36, 37, meaning that they're about 3 to 4 levels above him in this type of area, that is not bad. That means that you either get out and go level up more and then come back, because clearly you're not, the game is telling you that you might struggle in this because you might not be a high enough level. That, or he's got some sort of modifiers on this playthrough or whatever that like does that.
And they really wanted you to finish the story around level 30 to 40, so enemies had very like distinct zones and settings and kind of didn't level with the world, it leveled with the quest. But I've experienced so many times where I'll be fighting an enemy that is my level, and then I'll go to the next point of interest in the same zone, in the same area, and all of a sudden they'll be 7 levels higher than me. It's so inconsistent and so massively unfun that, okay, I did a battle over at this point of interest, I enjoyed it, I'm going to this point of interest, and now I'm getting one shot because these enemies for some random reason are 10 times harder. Like, it doesn't make sense that enemies in the same area somehow have massive discrepancies in levels and abilities.
See, that just doesn't happen. There's never a time where the enemies are going to be 7 levels higher than you. Even right here, they're only, throughout this entire video so far, he's been going through this one bunker in this whole video, right? And the highest, the most amount of levels higher than him that an enemy has been is 4 levels over him. Just 4. And he's still been like melting through them. So clearly the game recognizes that your damage output is on par with level 37 enemies. You might be getting one hit because your shields and shit are lower level, so they're not standing up that well, and like your health is still low because you're only at level 33. But you are dealing out enough damage to fight these higher level enemies, clearly. So you're just complaining over nothing. Plus, you're saying that like up to 7 levels higher, 10 times harder, all that shit. You're just wrong.
I understand if you're going into a zone like here where I'm going into the bunker, it's a different.
And I do want to say, on the short, I did make a comment about that, about the fact that at most they'll be 3 to 4 levels higher than you. And the guy replied,
zone completely, so they will be a different level than maybe what I faced outside. But in the same zone, you shouldn't be running into these massive discrepancies in enemy levels.
You don't.
And I also see these discrepancies with loot. Now, I understand there's 31 billion guns in the game. I understand that that means there's a lot of different weapons, a lot of different modifiers, and the whole point is that you're supposed to be able to find like these crazy god rolls where these weapons are so uber that they're just build-defining weapons.
Like, look, he just like melted through the guy's like last bit of health in like one bullet spray from whichever legendary AR that is. Like, but he's gonna complain about the levels. Like, clearly you're outputting enough damage to deal with these enemies. So like, there's no reason. There's like, the complaint doesn't make sense.
I like that. I want that. but why is it that I can find 2 level 30 shotguns? One will do 500 DPS, one will do 2000 DPS, one will do 700 DPS, and one will do 900 DPS with some shock damage. Like, it doesn't make sense that some of these weapons are so far across the board that they're not even like in the same tier, they're not even the same level. Like,
because it all comes down to that. Because that one that does 700, yeah, it might do 700, but it might have crazy ass attachments and like different, like the parts on it and whatnot might be some crazy ass shit that makes it even technically stronger than the other ones. Because like even right now in my current build on my Amon, the majority of my guns that I'm using constantly are not even level 50. They're level like 44s and 46s. And yet I'm like one tapping like 51, 52 level 51, 52 enemies. Like I'm using, like I have a Boristel ballista that like absolutely demolishes motherfuckers, and it's only like level 46. Like I'm still using my level 44, I think, rapid vivisecting throwing knife, because it just does it is so useful that it helps me just obliterate enemies, even bosses. Like the fucking timekeeper was a fucking cakewalk. A cakewalk. Because of that throwing knife mixed with my abilities, mixed with my fucking guns, because my guns do massive crit damage. Like the complaint is like nothing.
one is basically
It's like that. This complaint is ignoring all nuance of like the fact that the weapons can have all these different part combinations and different effect combinations.
a level 1 worthless gun, and the other will carry you through all the way to level 50. Like the discrepancy is so huge that it makes finding loot sometimes not very fun, because once you found like a really powerful weapon, you're going to go 10, 20 levels without finding another one.
That's Borderlands. That's Borderlands. You get a god tier fucking gun, and it's going to be a while before you find something that you actually think is better than that to replace it with. That is Borderlands. Is getting the fucking most crazy shit you can to make the most badass build you can. That is Borderlands. Like, this guy just fundamentally doesn't understand Borderlands, or he's doing this entire video to rage bait people on like TikTok and in shorts.
And we got to bring up the levels. The leveling feels so sluggish.
No,
now,
it
I'm
doesn't.
level 33.
No, it does not. That is a fucking lie. At no point does it feel sluggish. Like, are you kidding me?
Here, because I started a different character because I didn't like Vex. Now, I understand Vex is powerful. I understand that's a me thing. I didn't like the playstyle. I much prefer Amon's playstyle. That is 100% an opinion thing, a playstyle thing. I'm not saying that she's bad in any way, shape, or form. I just preferred a different character. So I made a different character. I made a different character a few days ago, and I've been doing side quests and different things to level up, and I've only gotten 3 levels. Now, I understand it could be like vanilla WoW, where like the journey is the destination, but most games like this in this genre, the game doesn't start in.
I want to. He just said he started a new character. I want to know if he started it at level 1 or started it at, or did the shit where you start at level 30, because that does make a difference. If he did it where he started at level 30 and he's doing side quests, he's probably doing early game side quests, like where the XP isn't as high of a reward as like the side quest that you do unlock when you're going through the story and you actually get to around that level 30 mark. You know what I mean? Like if he's doing like the first ever side quest in the game, yeah, it's not the side quests do not scale the amount of XP that they give you. The side quests have a set amount of XP that they give you. So like doing early game side quests with a already level 30 character is not going to give you much XP. And sometimes the later game side quests only unlock once earlier game side quests have already been done. So you're going to have to go through those low level side quests, and then you're going to get those higher XP reward side quests as you're completing the earlier lower tier reward ones. It's like guy just fundamentally does not understand the game that he's playing.
Until you're max level, right? The whole point is to get to max levels so you can do builds, so you can start looking for weapons, so you can start playing the actual game, which is the farming and the grinding. And a lot of people like that. I enjoy the farming and grinding and finding the new gear.
But how do you enjoy the farming and grinding when you're complaining about farming and grinding?
So why is it taking 10 light years to level up. Like, it doesn't make sense
doesn't.
because most of the game isn't here, right? The end game is what truly matters. So why is it such a slog to level up?
It's
Now, I'm
not.
sure there's some sort of power leveling that some people have figured out where you play with other people and you go and farm bosses and you can do it in a few hours. Certainly that always happens in online games, anything with co-op, but just playing the game as intended, going around and doing side missions and things like that, it is such a slog to level up. There are a few other complaints I have to bring up that are more UI related or just bug related. Again, I don't want to touch too much on performance, but there are a couple things kind of in this genre I wanted to bring up. The first one being the cooldown to use your echo to see where you're going. Why does it take a cooldown for me to be able to figure out where I'm going? And that golden line is so hard to see in some environments. It is so
It's really
frustrating to
not.
navigate around with
It's
that
really
cooldown.
not.
It's hard to see, and the environments are just
That's a personal issue. You probably just have your fucking like brightness or whatever settings like all fucked up. Like I've never had an issue seeing it, not once.
frustrating to navigate. I get that they want us to use like the mount, they want us to explore the world, they want us to use the zip line to get around. I understand that, but there's so many times where I'll be going to an area and then it's up on those cliffs, but there's no hook point, so I gotta walk all the way around again. It's just kind of a frustrating nuisance. And there's a lot of little bugs that I know that they'll fix, missions not spawning correctly or things not popping up or completing correctly, but it's really frustrating in a game with some exploration stuff where it's like, okay, I can't figure out, am I doing something wrong? Or is the quest just bugged because of bugs and I can't move forward because it's bugged? Or am I missing something? And the fact that I can't definitively answer that question because there's so many bugs and issues is a huge frustration point that, again, I know they'll patch out eventually, but it is something that you wouldn't expect out of a game that costs this much and is supposed to be, AAA polished. This one might fall more under, again, a personal opinion, but I hate the order weapons. The charge up mechanic feels so clunky. I absolutely despise it.
I mean, it's not clunky. You can just not like it. I don't like it either. I like never use the order weapons. Like I played the entire early game with Daedalus. That was who I used in the entire early game was the Daedalus weapons, and then I started using because I was going for the achievement of completing a manufacturer challenge tab, and so I ended up switching to just only using Jacob's weapons because the challenges were just easier. Jacob's challenges were just an easier. It was, to me, they are the easiest one to do. Yeah, that is just a personal thing. That's why that's it. But they're not clunky. It works exactly how it's supposed to work. You charge up and then fire.
I also despise the hold Y for weapon wield thing instead of hanging, up, down, left, right to grab different weapons. And
That, oh my god. You can just like tap Y to switch quickly to what you want, right? Like, that, right? Like, that, right? Plus, there's a thing called like control mapping. I'm pretty sure you could change your controls if you wanted to.
again, just feels so clunky.
It doesn't.
Same thing with like the melee button being attached to the button in order to zip line around where you don't always connect to the thing. Instead, you just melee the air. It's clunky. There's a lot of
It's not
clunkiness
at all.
here. And I understand there's only so many buttons on a controller, and it seems like it was clearly made for a controller, which I get. It's not just a PC game. It has to work on consoles too. But there's a lot of clunkiness in here. And matched
really
with the
isn't.
UI that has a lot of clunkiness with like the compare button. You have to hover over things to see currencies. There's just a lot of refining that can still be done to make the menus and UI a little bit better and a little bit more navigable and remove some of those pinch points and frustrations. Okay, I think I did it. It took me 12 minutes, but I think I got all of my minor gripes out about this game. And again, I want to reiterate, I enjoy the game. I'm having fun with it. I want the game to be better. But there's a lot of things
Yeah, but half the shit you're saying to make it better are things that would just take away from what Borderlands is meant to be, what Borderlands is. Like, most of what you're saying just is wrong. It's just like categorically wrong because it would take away from what Borderlands is, because you just fundamentally do not understand what Borderlands is.
and still improve upon, and I imagine they will with the first couple big patches, and of course with DLC still coming. I don't think they've abandoned the game. I'm not saying that these aren't ever going to be fixed or that it's a bad game, just that there's room for improvement, and I really hope they do. So leave your favorite thing about the game in the comments down below, and if I missed any pinching points or nerves or any problems that you have, also put those down below. And as always, have a blessed day.
Yeah, was just that was terrible. The majority of what you complained about, bro, is things that would just take, like I keep saying it, but it's just true. Just things that would just take away from the identity of what Borderlands is. Like it's like wild. And like I know he has another video on his channel. He has another video on his channel. Borderlands 4 has great potential, but a great many problems. And I don't know. I'll probably do that as a separate video, reacting to that, because like I already just spent what, over half an hour just watching this one video, because it was just that it's bad. It's just bad. Like it's so clear that like it was so like made for like it's so clear how much it was just made for like rage bait and like short form content, like engagement, like rage bait. It's just clear. Like, where the fuck? Where the hell is it? How many shorts does this guy upload? Holy shit. How old was the video? 'Cause that was his most recent video, but I don't even see. Oh, everything wrong with Borderlands 4 Part 4. But there's like, oh, is this Part 3? Part 2? Part 1? Like, why are you uploading parts as shorts? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Uploaded 4 days ago. Like, I'm not just trying to shit on this guy, but it's like it's just a bad video, because so much of it, if they actually did half the shit, like fixed half the shit that you're complaining about, actually went and fixed half the shit that you're complaining about, like fixed, then like it would just, the game would just be, it would be worse. It would just be flat out worse off. Like no holes barred, it would just be worse off easily. Like skipping dialogue would just make the missions feel weird, because then you would just have the characters instead of talking just like teleporting around the missions, because a lot of the mission, like especially in like areas, like that would be like doing well shit, even just to go back to that wild card mission, that first Ultimate Vault Hunter wild card mission, like there's so many times where like your transition into a new area is happening with dialogue happening, and if you could just skip that dialogue, the character would just be teleporting, and then boom, 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 and then a door would open. It's like it would just make it worse. It would just make it worse. Objectively, like it would just be worse. There would be no reason for that. It doesn't make sense. It's a story. It's a mission replay. You're replaying the mission. Like, sorry, that's just what it is. Um, but on that note, uh, I'm probably just gonna upload the full 35 minutes, as like a raw reaction, as a raw video. Um, I will hopefully be streaming again soon if my internet is back up. I may even do another video tomorrow reacting to his other one. Borderlands 4 has great potential, but a great many problems. I may make this a series reacting to people critiquing Borderlands 4 and seeing how many of these people that want to critique it just fundamentally do not understand the game at a face level. So with that, I've been Time LG, and thank you for watching. See y'all next time.